This is Things Police See, First-Hand Accounts, with your host, Steve Gould.
Hey guys, welcome to the podcast that interviews active and retired police officers about their most intense, bizarre, and sometimes humorous moments on the job. I'm Steve Gould. Thank you for joining us, everybody. This is episode number 95, if you can believe that. A big 95. Right off the top, I want to give a shout out to Motor Cop Chronicles podcast. Iceman is a host over there. Check out this cool cup. This is the best part right here. Bam! Things Police See logo on it. It's like one of those larger Yeti cups for, this is a podcast, so I have to describe it to you. It's got my name on it. It's pretty badass. So thank you, Iceman. Thank you to Perfectly Dysfunctional Designs. Go check them out. Do your orders through them, because I swear this cup it's awesome. I love it. It's going to be my new beverage cup. Very, very cool. All right, guys. So what do we got for you today? Get way ahead of myself. This cup's got me all flustered. I got to thank the sponsors. I want to thank the people that keep the lights on, the people that are day in and day out. Keep donating to the show. I love you guys. I love you. I'm in love with you. Tony Fahey, Jacob Ruth, Rich Emery, William James Long, Deputy William James Long, Samantha Harper, Gary Steiner, the great Gary Steiner, Richard Wilson, Scott O'Donnell, Jeremy Woods, David Diaz, Timothy Wright. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Like I say, every time I see the little bills for the podcasts come in and they go out paid, because you guys faithfully subscribe to the podcast, and I truly appreciate it. If you want to do that, if you love the show, you heard the whole back catalog, you've listened to all 90-plus interviews, you want to throw some a little sugar my way, thingspolicec.com. You can do that there. I really appreciate it. Also, one other thing. I had a one-off donation from Rick McCormick, dropping some ducats down. Thank you, Rick. I really appreciate that, man. Very cool. So thank you. Even if you do a one-off, I'm reading your name as well. So you're helping out, and it is truly, truly appreciated. This show is brought to you by Hero Inc. Do you have a fundraiser coming up, putting together an event, and need something to help market it? Hero Industries has you covered. Hero is known for their cute and adorable K9 Hero plushies and their stunning challenge coins, but that's not all they have to offer. Hero also offers custom bottle openers, lapel pins, cigar cutters, tactical teddy bears, custom badges. Any logo, any badge, any size, any shape, you pick how you want it. Just send Hero your logo and how you want it, and Hero makes it happen. Hero's excellent customer service makes it easy for you to design your item and offers a variety of accessories to pair with your order. Hero Industries has been working with law enforcement, government agencies, and canine handlers throughout the U.S. since the year 2000 by providing top-notch service with amazing details and one-of-a-kind products. Check them out on Instagram at hero_industries_Inc. or cruise their website at www.hero-industries.com. Great company, mom and pop shop out of Corona, California, a couple cities away from where we used to live. Support them, guys. Go check them out. Just an awesome company, and they make really great products. So go check them out. Thank you for supporting you guys. Thanks to everybody in the office. I love you. Keep listening. Tell your manager or owner or boss to keep sponsoring the show. It's the best thing you can do for yourselves. It's wonderful. You're really helping yourself out there. Okay, now let's get to episode number 95. One of my favorite kind of episodes, because we have a guy in the trenches. He comes from one of the largest agencies in Alabama. We've got another Southern guy, which is cool. Southern guys and gals, they just tend to have great stories. No pressure, sir, but they tend to have great stories. So I'm excited to have him. One of the largest agencies in Alabama. Like I said, when he started out, he was doing FTO. He's doing in Special Operations Division, investigating traffic homicides. He's in the process of joining up with CID. We're gonna call him Jeremy, because he is active on the job. So without further ado, Jeremy, welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, Steve, how you doing?
I'm doing excellent, man. Thank you for joining us, brother. So I got a message from you. How long have you been listening to the show?
Man, I found it not long ago, maybe end of last year. Just looking through, I'm a podcast guy. I like to listen to things like that, and
Me too.
and just hear other people's point of view. And I stumbled across it when I was researching, and the current episode at the time, the one right before the Tahoma, the one in California that you did. Tahoma, yeah.
Yep.
So that guy, he was the one right before that one. I couldn't remember the name of it, but I was like, I got to go back and start. So I finished that one up, and I went back and just started hitting some up through from the first one.
Awesome.
I like it.
That's great to hear.
You know, it's just everybody you've had on has had something valuable to add to, you know, those who are wanting to be police officers, or those of us out here. You know, we can just kind of relate to it a little bit. You're like, you know, it sounds simple on the surface, but, you know, we've all been to those calls, or we've experienced some of that. So it's refreshing.
Absolutely.
I enjoy the show.
Oh, thanks, Jeremy. I'd love to hear you say that. That was the whole idea, to get all cops from all different walks of life out there on the podcast. And now that it's been a few years, we have this back catalog. So I get people write me messages all the time, and I don't even remember what they're talking about. I have to go back and listen. And I swear I'm still floored by some of the stories that people have told me over the last 3 years. They're just, some of them are just the things cops see are completely ridiculous and insane. So you also were in the Marine Corps, correct? 8 years?
I was 4 years active. And, you know, when you're in the military, you always have that 4 years inactive that you have to, you know, that you have at the end, that you can be recalled. Well, nobody ever thinks it's going to happen. And then 6 months out of getting home, I get recalled.
No kidding.
So I end up getting attached to a reserve unit here in my community. And I rode out the rest of my IR time and had thought about, you know, re-enlisting, and got this job offer. And, you know, me and my wife, we had our youngest was on the way, and I just like, well, you know what? You know, it's a calling. God's telling me to stay here and start a new career. So that's what I did. I got into law enforcement at that point.
That's great. Yeah, you definitely got to be home too. That's definitely the right choice for a new kid. I know I've worked with plenty of guys who are military, and most of them were pretty happy with the transitioning to police. But once in a while, I run into a guy that wishes he did the 20, or wishes he did whatever the military. I should have went. But that kind of person who's it seems like that kind of person is always kind of the grass is greener type of person. I should have stayed in the military, done this and that. But then when you really hear them talk about the military, it sounds like they hated that too.
But, you know, you remember the good times. You remember the things you did with your buddies and your deployments and stuff like that. And you often forget, you know, about the day-to-day stuff. You know, like old guys, when they were, you know, retired guys come to our academy and speak to us. And you know, our academy is 19 weeks long. And when they come down there and speak to us and things like that, and, you know, they talk about how much they miss patrol. And then, you know, then you talk to them about all the crappy stuff you end up having to do. And then, you know, they just remember the good times, the fun, the hot calls, the chases and things like that. They don't remember the crappy details and stuff you get stuck with. Yeah,
absolutely. Strapping that vest on when it's 95 and humid out, and it's every single day in the summer. You're right. And it happens quickly too, because I took a little 4-year reprieve from police work, and like almost immediately I was nostalgic about it.
Yeah, but, you know, if you're really someone who needs to be a police officer, it's in you. You don't think of doing anything else.
Yep.
And you often miss it. We have guys all the time with our department that will try to go off and do other things that may be making more money, and eventually they all come back. You just can't get it out of your system. So
yeah, absolutely.
It's honorable. It's an honorable job. And, you know, we have a community here. The way I look at it, my community, you know, they picked me, you know, for this job. They entrusted me to do these things. And, you know, that's an honor.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a calling. We talk about that all the time, and doesn't pay great. We have to work a lot, but you know, you probably, like I do, have friends that make a lot more money doing something that they find totally purposeless for a corporation or something. And, you know, they might be making all that money, but the profession of police is ancient. It's been around since the you know, Roman centurion and beyond, and it's always been honorable. So you might not make the money, but like they say, money's not everything, but you have have a purpose. Like you really feel like you're doing something for the community, and that is a hole that's tough to fill, even if you don't realize it while you're doing it.
Mm-hmm. It is, but you could every day you go in service. I mean, you have a chance to affect others, either in a positive or negative way. So you got to make that choice. I'm going to, affect someone in a positive way, or I'm going to serve my community the best way I can. And no matter what that is,
Yeah, absolutely. Jeremy, can you tell us, go back 11 years here and tell us about your first hot call you responded to as a young officer?
All right. So my first hot call was probably in the FTO phase, but the first one I had as a solo officer after, our FTO phase is 14 weeks. So once you get out of your academy, 14 weeks with 3 different FTOs, and then you're on your own. So I was working second shift, and close to the end of shift, there's, our radio will give out tones when something serious is coming out, whether it be robberies or shootings or anything like that. So we get it, we get tones come out, and I get dispatched to a call in my zone of an incident, an unknown incident at the time, through 911 at a local recording studio. So I pull onto the street, and it's kind of an off street from one of our major thoroughfares through our community. And I pull onto that street, and I see a car stopped in the road. I see some citizens out there, some ladies. They were trying to flag me down, and they just keep saying in there, in there, in there. And I'm the first one there, so I get out of my vehicle. I approach the entrance, and the door's open. Heavy smell, heavy cloud of marijuana coming out of there. You can still hear the music going inside. The lights are real dim. And so I go to clear it like you're supposed to clear one. And as I'm making my way through, I see the victim, laying on the floor on his back. And, you get through clearing, and then you go back. Once you've made the scene safe, I go back and I start looking at, what can I do? Do I need to stop the bleeding? Do I need to put some stuff out on the radio so the paramedics are more prepared when they get here? And, when I roll this guy over and I'm checking him out and things like that, and I mean, he's sustained several injuries, the head, the neck area, the body, and things like that. And, I'm putting that out on the radio, and I get the ambulances there. They're working on him, and I go out talking to the individuals that called 911. And it just so happens it's one of those things that as I was pulling in this side of the street, the offenders were pulling off the other side of the street that close. You always think, man, a few seconds earlier, if I'd have made the first turn instead of the second turn, because the second turn was right there at it. First turn, you had to drive a little bit, and I'd have had these guys, but at the time we had really no vehicle descriptions or anything like that to go off of. These ladies were they pulled up on this and terrified, so that was probably my first memorable one that really stuck with me, just due to the nature of it. Yeah. And, more than likely, probably some sort of robbery or some other dealings. Right. It was personal, or the offenders and the victim knew each other in some form or fashion. So, but that was when I knew that, man, this job is serious. Yeah. This is a serious job.
That's tough too. You're new and you show up to a scene like that, someone injured like that. So you want to make sure it's the scene safe, and you want to render first aid. But when are you convinced that it's safe to render the first aid? You know what I mean?
When your backup gets there and you got somebody watching your back,
right? Yeah.
Because that 1 or 2 minutes before your assist officer gets there, that's an hour sometimes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's a good one. Were you heart pounding away on that one or what?
Sweating like crazy. Of course, it ain't hard to do in the spring and summer around here, in Alabama. So
yeah, Alabama's real humid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it is in the summertime. So
I complained about it in the Northeast. It gets in the 80s, 90s, but the Southerners tell me to shut my mouth. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It'll get close to 100 and it'll be humid, and it'll feel like you're breathing through a wet rag.
Oof. Yeah. That's tough. Yeah, you'd really be heaving if you're pumped. Dang, man. All right, brother. Jeremy, can you describe to us a strange or a bizarre thing you dealt with?
A bizarre one, I'll have to be kind of vague on this, but I had responded to a residence with the FBI. They had been investigating an individual who had was keeping his child locked up and was pretty much selling his child to anybody that would come by.
Oh my gosh.
You see things like that, and especially when you have kids, it wears on you. Like it drains you, and it's just that little bit of relief when you get that guy in cuffs, man. You put him in the car, you get him down there, you get him booked in, and you're like, finally this kid is out of this. And, this individual is going to have to answer for everything that they done, and, you feel good for putting them in jail. I mean,
yeah,
that's crazy to think that people do that, that's a thing,
Yeah. So like pretty common that this is obviously going out over social media or however the guy's getting customers there. So the FBI is involved, multi-jurisdictional type of thing. They come to you guys and say, hey, this is happening, or this is based out of your town type of deal.
They do. They'll start contacting the command staff in the department and saying, hey, we're looking at this, and this. And once we get everything prepared and we get warrants issued, we'll call you guys up, and we'll just need a uniform there and a transport. So
this was this guy's own kid, his own flesh and blood.
It was,
and no mom, just a dad and a child.
That's it.
Evil.
I don't think the mom was around. I don't know if I don't know much about her. It's one of those situations where you spend your time trying to kind of block it a little bit, but
sure.
With them doing their investigation, they were handling all that. I was there just to help them make contact, and if the individual was there, to provide uniform assistance and things like that. A police presence instead of a man in a suit.
Right. Right.
So, but I don't think the mother was in the picture at all. I think maybe she had some other issues in her life that
sure she was
dealing with. So
when you guys take this guy into custody, is this a type at your department? Do you have to go book him, or do you have booking like a booking sergeant there and booking officers?
Yeah. So we will go to our corrections facility, our jail, and we will actually fill out all the paperwork there, and then we will turn it in to the deputies that work inside the jail.
Oh, you go right to the jail.
Yeah, and once they come out, and the paperwork's good, they'll come out. They'll call the individual up to the door. They'll give you your handcuffs back. They'll start their process, and then you're free to go.
Oh, interesting. So you don't...
pretty painless, yeah.
Do you guys maintain your own lockup at all, or no?
No, the sheriff's department is in charge of maintaining the jail.
That's great.
So it's every sheriff's responsibility is to maintain a jail in Alabama. So
that's the way it is around everywhere else too. The sheriffs, their principal thing is to do the jail, but here we are. Most of the Northeast and stuff, we have our own lockups, and then if it's going to be a little bit longer than normal, we can transfer them to the sheriff, but they can also be not take them. So it's like, I like what I'm hearing. That sounds great. You take them to the jailer.
All of the departments in our area that use the jail there, they all are allotted or a certain number of beds and whatnot.
Right.
So that way we call them beds or rooms, cells, whatever. And, but most of the time, someone who's in there on a traffic warrant or something like that, they're not even going to get past the booking right there. They're going to sit there, make their phone call, more than likely get bonded out within a couple of hours. So there's no sense in putting them back there unless they're causing an issue, Right. It's those who are going to be staying overnight or maybe throughout the weekend, depending on if they got to see a judge on that following Monday. So, we'll put them in there, and, we've got a certain amount of space that we can use. So, but we have a really good working relationship with our local sheriff's department. So it's definitely easy to deal with them, and they help us out all the time. We help them out. They're having to cover, the rural areas out here. Our state police here, they work recs in the county because the sheriff's department doesn't work recs. And then, they write tickets, man the highways and things like that, and anything that may come across for a state investigation. Right. Most of the time, any officer involved uses of force, the departments will, have the State Bureau of Investigation come in and take a look at it versus their own departments.
Which makes just have an outside agency do it.
It does, which makes sense, because it's it's a neutral eyes on the case, and you don't have to worry about somebody saying, well, it was their own department, it was their own whatever, right. And they're covering for the guys. No, that's not. They're come in, they're going to look at everything, do their interviews, and if it's good, it's good. If it's not, then they'll make an arrest if they need to. So
right, gotcha. So this, I guess why I was asking too was to see how much time did you have to spend up close and personal with this piece of human excrement? Like, did you have to fingerprint him and do all that, or no? No,
we have our own fingerprinting and identification section. So
sweet,
they would handle that. But thing is his municipalities around here, we only handle misdemeanors. So anything that's felony, we'll have to take through the through the county. So so all I did is go in, I served the warrant, bam, put them in there. They get him back there, they fingerprint him, they get him in the system, they do all of that. So I just fill out paperwork and hand them off.
Oh man, so I'm loving the sound. This makes sense, brother. Mm-hmm. I like it. Because I had it's an earlier episode on here, but one of the creepiest people I ever dealt with was a child sex offender, and he was younger, like I think he was like 19, 20, and it was his younger cousin who he was grooming, but he had actually written manifestos, very disturbing. His whole plan of what he was going to do with this girl had pictures, and it just was a very it was terribly upsetting when you read it all. So anyways, in the booking room, he just like maniacal type of demeanor to him. Like I'm fingerprinting him, and he's like, does it drive you crazy? And I'm like, what? He's like, I don't know, having to be this close or deal with somebody like me or somebody like who's capable of what I've done. And I was like, it was like he was Hannibal Lecter, It's like, shut up, dude. Yeah, I want to wring your neck, but I can't, But because that was a smaller agency, when you hooked somebody, you were with this friggin' person for like hours. And I just fantasized, Jeremy, about driving to a jail and being like, get away from me.
Oh, yeah. Same here. You do, but that's what makes us right for this job, because we're not gonna, we know the things that you want to do because of what somebody's done to other people, but at the end of the day, it is our job to get them in front of the court. So, I was with this guy maybe an hour. The only time that we'll get stuck in our jail area is they do 12-hour shifts. So if it's shift change, it's very, very difficult because they have to do a bunch of other things in there to get the new crew in. Mm-hmm. And then once that new crew gets signed in, it's quick. They go. So if it's during shift change hours, you might have to spend a little extra time, a little extra 30 minutes in there or so. But all in all, it's not bad at all.
That's great. Well, would you find, I've only ever worked for towns and stuff, and you work for a larger agency. I find that about like 90% of the people clientele you deal with they're like good people that are just having a bad day. Like they screwed up. You do run into like the guy I was just describing, the real bad guy, like the evil person once in a while. Do you find that to be true in a larger city as well? I mean, you're dealing with way more volume, but like when running into somebody truly evil like that is the minority of your clientele, I hope.
Very, very small percent. You get stuck in this rut, and sometimes you'll be in these areas, or you'll be working these patrol zones on the sides of town, and you will get in this rut where you're like, it's the same stuff all the time. Another domestic, another shooting, another burglary, or another, somebody snatched my bicycle off my porch, and stuff like that. And it's all important to these people.
Sure.
And, you have to understand that, because a lot of the people you deal with, this is the worst situation they've ever been in. And
Right.
you're walking into this. So
Right.
you don't get to be upset. You don't get to act like that. But what people forget is, driving through this neighborhood, you just passed 60 houses you've never been to.
Yeah.
They've never called the police. They go to work. They come home. They take care of their families. They do the right thing. So as long as you can remember that, the small percentage of criminals don't represent the population, then you're good.
Yeah. That's a great way. That's a great visual. You drive by 60 houses, 100 houses. You might never go there. They don't. It's like 10% of the people need most of the services.
Exactly, and they do, and they'll keep on calling or whatever about everything, because people can get spiteful. So you get this, baby mama drama, or the he said she said, or the two neighbors that can't get along, and they're going to call the police every time one of them breathes, pretty much, and they're going to want to report it.
Right.
Well, he blew grass clippings over here, some of that stuff, or he parked on my yard, or, just any kind of crazy, any minute thing that they can come up with, because they're at it all the time. But other than that, you don't deal with everybody, your entire community. There's people out there that are great people, but they have to live in these low income areas or these housing areas, because that's the best they can do for themselves and their family.
Sure.
But that doesn't make them bad people. So, and you never hear from them.
Yeah. That's like
unless they're victimized.
Right. Like when they do the man on the street things. I remember, like, in the heart of the heat a year and a half ago of the defund the police or abolish, forget about defund, abolish the police, that whole wacky idea. I remember, like, man on the street people going into, like, these bad neighborhoods, and the people who live there, they just want to go to work in peace, and they're like, listen, we need the police. Please don't listen to these people. Like, we ain't trying to. We want you here more. Well, I remember one guy they interviewed in LA was like, I have all three of my sons are dead because of this neighborhood. I want to see the police more. He goes, this narrative you're hearing about abolish the police just as simply is not true.
It's not at all.
You hear people like you, Jeremy, and the heart you have for the work. You just want to help do that. Put your ass on the line, and then you get, I guess they tell us in Academy, though, no one's going to pat you on the back. Get ready to get kicked in the teeth.
Oh, exactly. This is not a job. If you're looking for applause and thanks and things like that, I mean, this is not the job for you. I mean, our department does a good job of recognizing officers when they do things and stuff like that. But,
that's important.
But you know what? It's handled internal, and that's great. I don't need, I don't need it, from the entire town. I don't need everybody to come around and talk about, how great, how great it is, but, just as long as they know that our department is a department they can come to for help.
Yeah.
That absolutely. If you see one of us, we're going to be there for you,
I remember the flip side of that was the other wave this country went through was after 9/11 was like uber pro police, pro public safety. And, my dad was a cop for 32 years. I've been a cop. I've been in law enforcement for 14, 15 years. And even to me, that was over the top. It was like, you're a hero. You're all heroes. That guy's a hero. You're a hero. Like throwing the hero. It was uncomfortable. It was like, take it easy. Like we're not superheroes. But that's the polarity of humans. That was, people forget all about that wave of super pro police. That was like, calm down. I can never live up to what you're thinking right now. So.
No, exactly. Because, people don't realize that the every officer out here, or deputy or trooper or whatever, they get up in the morning or before their shift, they get dressed, and, the last thing they want to do is have to go out and hurt somebody.
Sure.
They everybody truly that I know that's gotten into this job, that I know, that I've worked with, truly wanted to do this job because they felt that it's the best way that they could serve. And, service oriented people, especially people who's in the military or had family members that's either in the military or police or fire. That's all they want to do is they want to serve in a service capacity. And until you truly serve a community, or a country, I mean, it's hard to understand, why we are the way we are.
Yeah.
But it gets in you. You can't get it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeremy, can you tell us about your most intense or terrifying call or calls? Up to you.
Okay. So, and this is one that there's not going to be a lot of detail to, but it was something.
Jeremy, we need the details, man.
I know, but it happened to me several years ago. When they say that you in this job that you constantly have to watch your surroundings, it's important that you do that. So,
right.
I'm walking into our facility, our gym
at the police department,
where it is just us. So I'm on my lunch, and
feeling pretty secure.
Exactly. I've already had my pre-workout, so I'm getting a little itchy, starting to sweat a little bit, getting a little itchy. It's
a little agitated.
Ready.
What are you taking? Gunpowder?
That's close, man. That was kind of when was it NO Explode was really big.
Oh my gosh, all my buddies. Are you doing NO Explode?
Oh yeah.
Heck yeah.
So I'm walking in and some people come out the door that work there at the facility, and I hear a crash. And I look around and I see this vehicle is coming through the parking lot, through our side of the parking lot, and they crash into a police vehicle with an officer in it. Wow. And you don't think, sometimes that moment you think, Jesus, this person was coming to the court or something, had some kind of medical thing. Sure. You're not thinking of anything else. So you go over, I go over, and I see that the officer in the vehicle is okay. He's moving around. He was getting out of the vehicle. And so I go over and I'm going to check on this individual driving this van. And anyway, this guy comes out and then, I let that my first thought creep in because I see a hospital bracelet on. Ooh. And I'm thinking, oh, it's medical, got to be medical, and I get, just a few feet from this individual and he's got a steak knife. Whoa.
So maybe it was medical, but mental medical.
Yeah. So this individual, approaches me with this and doesn't listen to any commands and things like that. And, you get your a space where you feel comfortable. And then, then you have to, you handle the situation. So, unfortunately it ended in a use of force situation and things like that. But, that one there, that was, that's, to this day, and that's been at the start of my career versus where I'm at now. And then today, that's nothing compares to that. And because you have to, and then turn, live with whatever you do, and and stuff like that. So
no, were you in gym clothes?
No. I was on shift. So
I'm imagining you going into the gym and seeing this happen.
Yeah, no, it's our facility, so it's I mean, not that you can't come on your off time, but I'm taking my lunch at that time to come in there, and
okay,
so I'm in uniform, I'm walking, I've already parked my vehicle and things like that, and I'm walking in the building when this thing happens, so scary situation. Luckily, I feel like the training and stuff like that in our department and our superiors do a good job with their leadership. And, I was prepared for something like that, and I was able to do what I needed to do the necessary radio traffic and, and start attempting to, provide any kind of assistance to the individual that I could, so, you tend to be able to, even in a moment like that where your blood pressure's through the roof, your skin's crawling, one, because, this is the scariest moment you've been in police work, and two, I took my pre-workout, so that was, I was already itchy.
You're jamming.
Exactly. So, but I was able to keep calm and make sure we got everything done that we needed to and get, medical personnel there and anybody else that needed to be involved.
All right.
But that's by far
Yeah, that would
the scariest thing, the scariest thing I'd ever dealt with. So,
all right, I got some follow-up questions for you. When in your department, when that happens, they take your service weapon, they issue another gun right away?
they do.
Okay, that's good. I'm a firearms instructor, so a few years back, I went to a recert for my certificate, and they were saying some departments didn't have that. The instructors to teach the teachers guy was like, it's important to, if you have a shooting, because it's a sign. The badge and the gun's a sign of our authority, the trust the community has in you. So if you do use your weapon, not a patrol rifle, but if you use your service, your duty weapon, that you should have another one issued to you quickly. Even if you're placed on some kind of admin for investigation or whatever. So it's good they did that. That sounds like they're squared away.
Yes, because it can have a huge mental impact on an officer who just went through a traumatic experience like that, and then
you're stripping them.
You feel like that. You feel like they've done wrong, even though they've made a split-second decision and everything lined up just right.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay. Mentally, can I ask you a few questions about how that affected you?
Yes, sir.
I've never used my weapon like that in the service line of service, and I worked with, when I was at LAPD backgrounds as a civilian, I worked with all these like LA legends. These guys have been in like crazy shootouts, and it affects everybody differently. One guy was ran a table for gangs. Guy's a great guy. Name's Mike Reyes. God love him. Great dude. Whole career doing gangs and robbery and stuff. Never had to shoot anybody. And then same type of, position at LAPD, shot 5 people. So it was like, you never know, and some people there were, a lot of them were retired at that point and had time to process all that stuff. And some people were, I snuck up behind a few people and, hey, I was kind of a younger guy and, pat them on the shoulder or whatever. And they're like, whoa, hey, they're a little jumpier than they should be. Come to find out they've been in 8 gun battles. It's like, oh, this stuff's sticking with him. People tell you, and I'd like to believe for myself, if I got into something like that and it was righteous and I followed the rules, and I was in the right, I wouldn't feel bad because I would know in my heart that it was a me or them situation, or it had to be done, and I acted appropriately. But I don't know if I would think that in my own brain. I don't know if I would like overanalyze it later and go, did it really have to go down that way? Or you know what I mean? So I'm curious for you, did it bother you at all, or were you okay with it?
I was, you prepare, with the military, and then, you're training, you prepare for things like that. It's the last thing in the world that you want to be involved in. It's nothing. It's
agreed.
It's something that lasted a minute and 20 seconds. And I felt like I was there for hours. You can, all of the things you go through, the tunnel vision, the auditory exclusion, and the sensory overload, because, you're feeling your body it focuses on the major motor functions. And, so you're taking all of that in, and then, at the end of it, you have that big release, you come down, and, you don't want to do that. But when you've done it, not only to protect yourself, but to protect another officer or, civilian personnel who are in the area. 'Cause, this gentleman, he may have had some issues and things like that, and may needed more help than he was provided.
Right.
But he at the end of his line apparently, and that day he was going to, his decision was I was going to do whatever it took to, draw the attention of a police officer. I think maybe that was what he wanted to do, unfortunately. And you bring an officer or officers in general into that, and you put that on them, and they have to bear that load. It was, you look at it, and when you get involved in something like that, you look at it as, what could have happened had I not been there. If the Lord didn't put me there, this other officer or these other individuals around the building or these people coming in and out of court, who would have gotten hurt, or worse, so you think, if you have faith and you believe in God and Jesus and stuff like that, you know that he puts you in that situation because you could handle it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
he's in charge of our vocation. He made you a cop.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And he put you in the right position because you were the one that he felt that could handle that. So, like I said, you never want to have to do that, but through the investigation and the board, the review board and things like that, and finding out other information that I didn't know, because we never know all of the information when we arrive to anything,
right?
So there was, if it wasn't today, it was tomorrow. If it wasn't me, it was the next guy,
right?
So or somebody else. So I think it happened the way it was supposed to, and I'm good with that.
That's great. That's great to hear. Yeah, like you said, someone like that, when they're looking to make someone snatch their life away, what would stop them from just randomly slashing people on the sidewalk until you showed up? I mean,
exactly.
Nothing would stop them.
And now, they're going to do what they're going to do, and until they get the attention that they want. So, and unfortunately, that's our job to put ourselves in the position to make decisions for public safety.
Right.
And at the time, we didn't have any other alternate, things on our duty belt that we could use to do anything else. But, they always teach you, I don't know if they teach you in your academy like they do us, if you're in a deadly force situation, if someone's using that force to you match it with that same force.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, it's wonderful when we can do things. And there's another event, about a year after that you can solve those situations, and everybody gets to, you get the worst you have to do is book somebody into jail, and that's easy.
Right.
So, and everybody gets to live another day, and, so you have those officer involved incidents like that. And you just have to know that, hey, I've put my training to use. I've took the totality of the circumstances in, and in that split second, I made the right decision.
Absolutely.
Because it was me, or it was someone else, or it was, a citizen.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. People get, that's like a pet peeve of mine that irks me about the use of force continuum, when they're like, they always want, the shoot it out of their hand thing. And then also like the tase them. The first thing they tell you when you get certified in taser is this works 50% of the time. Mm-hmm. So they don't work. They don't work all the time. They just don't. They're an electronic device like a cell phone. Clothing is a pain in the ass about them. It's just, they just don't always, they don't keep you safe. So like you said, knife is 1,000% time always match the gun. That's just the way it is.
No doubt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the three most important tools you have, the ones that are going to do the most on this job that I've experienced is, one, officer presence. Your uniform needs to be clean. Your boots need to be clean. You need to look good. You need to stay in shape, and you need to be confident when you talk to people.
Yep.
You can, those things right there can keep you out of fights and can keep you out of other situations, because they say, okay, well, this officer, he's dressed well. His uniform's clean. He's confident in what he says. He's that projects, and, people are like, this may be the officer I don't need to test.
Right.
So it's gotten me out of a lot of instances where it could end up in a fight and rolling around on the ground in somebody's living room or on the street. And, I've always used that. I've always done that. And it's always worked for me. Communicating with these people and, you can always, you can be confident, and then you can always go back to your patrol car and call a senior officer and run it by them and get a correct answer if you're not sure.
We all do that all the time.
Exactly, yeah, all the time. But when you're trying to settle a dispute inside a house between two people, you need to be confident, because if you're not confident, they see through you. Or when I would always tell my trainees in the FTO program, I said, you go on these scenes and somebody's doing something, and you tell them, if you do that again, you're going to jail. You better take them to jail when they do it.
Right.
Because if you don't,
lose your credibility.
Exactly. They're going to run all over you at that point, because you're not going to do anything.
Right.
Now you need to make sure that before you do things like that, that is an arrest worthy offense. So, and I tell them, everybody that can go to jail doesn't need to. Mm-hmm. Everybody that needs to go to jail sometimes can't. They hadn't done anything to go to jail. Maybe they need to go,
right?
But you don't have enough to take them. So
yeah,
it's a cat and mouse game out here. Sometimes some days you're the hammer, some days you're the nail.
Absolutely. And when you see other cops, that the whole appearance thing, it's so true, because you can tell yourself you're not a predator or a criminal, but when you see another cop and they're like, uniform squared away, they're in relatively okay shape, they seem to care about their appearance, and they hold themselves. You think to yourself, that's a guy I don't want to F with. I wouldn't want to F with that cop. Yeah. I think that cop right there he'd have no problem laying it down. And then you can tell the guy who's done. The guy that leans on the door jamb, he's got a big old gut. He's should have went 5 years ago, but he didn't. Hates his wife. He doesn't want to retire. Yeah. And it's just like that good old boy, and you're just like, this guy, number one, it's bad for the profession. I'm sorry, guys, blue bellies out there. It's just bad for us. And you just, because it's only by the grace of God they've not been hurt,
Mm-hmm. But, my thing is, I don't want to be that officer that is the closest to helping someone who might be 100 yards off the road, and I can't get to them because I'm so out of shape and I can't help them,
Right.
And, I see these other officers and things like that. When you see those ones that, take care of themselves and are confident, and, you trust that, they know their job, and they're going to do the right thing. Those are the ones I want to hear on the radio as my backup officer on calls and things like that, because those are the ones I know. Look, they ain't going to take their time getting there, hoping they'll dodge some kind of paperwork or something like that. So if it's a paperwork issue, I'll just do it. Don't worry about it.
Right.
But we're each other's backup, and in times you have to depend on each other, and you don't want some maybe in a physical shape that they're going to cause more issues, because now you've got someone else you've got to worry about getting medical to and things like that, because they're having, difficulties breathing and things like that. And, these vests aren't easy to breathe in, whether it's on the inside or outside.
Yeah.
So
it's funny. The vests, I took a little break. I did 10 years, and then I came back, and we had the inside vest. And then when I got hired back on, they're like, oh, we have the tactical carriers. I go, what is that? They're like, we can wear our equipment on the outside. I'm like, cool. It looks cool. So the first 6 months, I'm like, this is so much more comfortable. I love it. And then a year later, I'm like, it's still uncomfortable as hell. I wish I wasn't wearing this. Yeah. So it's just only a matter of time till I start bitching about it again,
Yeah, it is. But hey, look, I ain't going to go anywhere without it. So
it's so nice to go write a report and take that thing off and sit there and let the shirt dry out. It's just being able to lift it, just to move it. The ones on the inside, those were extra claustrophobic, because they would get wet within half an hour, and then they just are stuck to you the whole shift. You just have this constant yucky, like you're wearing football or hockey gear kind of feeling. Yeah.
And you can smell yourself,
Yeah, you lift it up, and the
every
wind
time you
comes.
move just right, and it just gets you. You're like, God, I need to watch this thing.
And then you end up doing 16-hour shift, and you're like, oh, I am just bad. This is nasty. All right. Yeah, so the outer carrier, beautiful thing. Jeremy, can you bestow, do you have another intense story you wanted to tell? I heard you allude to one.
There's a few out there. Yeah. So we were working a detail in our housing area in our community. And, so you get 4 hours overtime or whatever to go around and just be a presence in these areas and things like that.
Wave
because
the flag.
it's government funded type stuff. And, I make a vehicle stop, out on the street right in front of one of them. And, me and another guy, we were, usually when you do it, you end up, two of you ride together, and then, there'll be several cars with two people in it, and one of you'll park your car and ride with the other one. And, so immediately, hitting the lights, the passenger gets out and takes off running. So I get out and run after him, and we get in between these two vans, and I'm trying to get him in handcuffs, and he's, moving around. It's dark. It's like 12 o'clock at night. Mm-hmm. And, we're wrestling around, and I get him pinned up against the van and get a handcuff on him. And you hear that clank.
Ooh, hit the
and
pavement.
You realize a pistol just fell out of his pants. And that's probably, now was he going for, was he going for it to do anything? Where he ran, it was more probable that he was probably trying to ditch it.
Right.
It ended up being a stolen weapon, and already being an individual that had a record that wouldn't allow him to have a concealed weapons permit anyway. So, that's probably more like it, because I don't think he thought I was running after him, because it was such a short distance when he got around these vans. So he slowed up, and I think, but that one right there, that's a high stress moment, because you don't know at the time, and you're chest to chest, grabbing elbows and arms, and
hell yeah,
trying to remember all of these things that you were taught, all this Archon stuff you were taught in the academy at the time, and trying to do all these maneuvers and to make sure everything's official. And you're like, I just want to just lay on this guy until I can get it, until I can get his hands. The hands kill you. You got to keep control of the hands. So, but it worked out. Got that guy booked in. That was one. We had an incident where, and this is kind of an intense moment, but intense in kind of a different way, because it's like you're waiting for the big reveal, and one person knows something and the other person's completely on the scene is unsuspecting. And so we answer a domestic violence call, and the one thing you don't do is you don't beat up on your girl, because she knows all your business. And so this happens, and anyway, so she's like, well, I want him out of my house. And I said, all right. I said, well, we can't just kick this guy out. He's been living here. You got to go through the proper channels with the sheriff's department and things like that. She goes, well, his aunt lives next door. And I said, okay. I mean, is he willing to go stay there? She goes, no, but he hides stuff in that shed over there. And I was like, all right. So we go up, make contact with the aunt. She's like, I don't know. He just put a lock on it, and I don't got a key to it, but I wrote the combination, or no, it was a combo lock. So I wrote the combination down, but I don't ever go out there. He just asked me if I could use it. So we go out there and open it up, and there's like this little round card table, and it's like 2.1 pounds of cocaine just sitting on this thing. And I'm like, and it's like, and then your heart rate's up. You're like, this is the most amount of cocaine I've ever seen in my life. I'm thinking I'm looking for, Miami Vice to roll through the door with the flashy car and the suits. This is a big deal. And some stolen weapons, some pills, some marijuana, some money. But that was another intense one, because you're like, what are we going to find in this shed? I mean, you run through everything from like some stolen stuff to drugs to a body or anything like that. And we had an incident in that same area where somebody had reported a car pulling up, two guys throwing another guy in a car and driving off. And, so we were in the area looking for them, thinking it was some kind of abduction or some kind of deal gone bad. Sure. And then you find this vehicle, off in a creek, and you get down, you're looking around it, and you see this, bed sheet in there, and it's got blood all over it. So now you're like, oh geez, what do we have here? This is a possible scene of an assault or, a homicide. So you're getting prepared for that. And this shows you that you have to look at everything. And I spend hours riding around this neighborhood, almost 2 hours, looking for anything and everything. Cause this guy's done, they've caught the guy, investigators talking to him. He's like, well, you'll find them, over by this greenway. And so we're driving around. I see nothing. And then finally calls start coming back out, got to clear off and go. And then, the investigators ride through there, and within like 20 minutes, they find this guy. And I was like, man, where was he? Said, so don't worry. I said he was in, that it was in such an obvious place that everybody would have overlooked it, because you're thinking, somebody's trying to hide something, hide evidence, or hide whatever, So, that was another good experience. And it things like that bring you back down. You're like, I'm not as good as I thought I was. I didn't see that. I'm not looking at all these things. I need to reevaluate the way I do things. And as this patrol officers, when the radio, it started popping off and there's calls holding and they're trying to clear off things, and you'll sometimes rush through things and
sure.
And you don't, then you get back in the car later and you realize, well, man, that was some bad officer safety on that one, or man, I should have got another piece of information. Now I'm gonna have to go back to that address and get a number or get a birth date or something, because I'm rushing through it.
I hate that.
Yeah. So, but there, there's a lot of things like that go on around here. I mean, we are, we stay pretty busy. I mean, to have an overall great community, great area to live, and our town, they love us. I mean, they love us, and we get tons of support, which is great.
Yeah.
But we're also, we have a melting pot of people. A lot of people that live here in our town, they're not didn't originate from here, but because of work opportunities and business opportunities and things like that, and
all different cultures.
Our school system brings a lot of people in. Yeah. So
yeah.
So you and they all, it's like, it's crazy because everybody huddles together.
Yeah.
In these different pockets around town. So, you go, whatever different precincts you may work out of, you may be dealing with a different type of individual. And, you just have to learn, how to talk to those people and do things in a way that they understand, and stuff like that. So you can provide as much as you can. 'Cause, today you might be my offender in something, but tomorrow you might be on the other end of that 911 call needing help, man. I'm gonna come out and do what I can, even if I arrested you the day before.
Yeah.
That's my job. So
absolutely.
But with special operations, we don't have a precinct. I city limits, man. That's where I go. I get to be outside of a few things that we do, that we have to do. We get 10 hours to be proactive. I can go anywhere and be as proactive as I want.
That's great.
So it's, it's fun to hit these high crime areas, or areas that you get a lot of, you may get a lot of B&Es in, or burglaries to houses or things like that. And, get out there and play a little bit.
Yeah. Sounds like a good gig, brother.
It is.
Do you have a heartwarming story you'd like to share?
I do. And I haven't been able to do it since, mostly because, at some capacity where I'm at now in special operations, we have to provide setup and things for this event. But, I got to be part of our Special Olympics.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
Volunteer for it. So, officers, firefighters, EMTs, nurses, things like that. You all get down there, and, you're wearing your soft uniform, or, firefighters are there and they're wearing their soft uniform and, things out there. And they have all of these people from kids to adults, and it's like an Olympics, and they have all of these different sports that you would have in the Olympics. And these individuals, they get assigned with, a first responder or a nurse, and you get to be their companion.
Really? That's cool.
Yeah. So
that's
whatever
really cool.
events they're doing, and then they get to go out and then they get their medals at the end and things like that. But to see them all together and watch them, out there getting to compete and having a good time, and things that that they're getting to experience that some of us take for granted, man, that makes you look at this job and think, that's things like this is what makes this job the greatest job in the world.
Yeah, that's really sweet, man. That's really sweet that you got to experience that, because it's, we don't get typically a lot of moments like that, That's cool.
Every year we set up with a local, with our sheriff's department, the town next to us, and the fire department, and underprivileged kids and stuff that we get from that the schools are in charge of picking out and things like that, and they get allotted some money to buy their family Christmas presents, and they do shop with a hero. And you know, I've done that once before, where, you know, you'll go to a local business will sponsor, you know, whether a large box store will sponsor it, and they get to come in with a gift card, and you know, they get a list of the people in their family, and they get to pick things out for them. And it's crazy because these kids are underprivileged, and they are, you know, they don't have a lot of things, and yet they spend all of that allotment on brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, grandmas, awesome. And things, you know, and try not to get anything for themselves. So, you know, that's another thing we do.
That's awesome, man. It sounds like you have that department's it sounds like a really squared away, really good department.
It is, man. We're very lucky to work where we are. They back us. I mean, we have support from the top down. I mean, we have support, you know, throughout our, you know, city leaders and things like that. So it's definitely still has a small town feel to it, a community feel. Yeah,
it's very cool, man. My wife and I have, you know, we've been on quite the journey the last 10 years. Kind of a early midlife crisis, Southern California, 4 years, kind of just then cross country back to where we're living now, but we're in Western Mass or Central Mass, but we really like the South. We've looked at like Tennessee and Texas. Texas, I don't know, man. People are going to hate me for this. Ugliest state I've ever seen. It's like, why? I mean, I get it. Rah, America. I like that stuff. I'm a patriot, but good. It's just all brown. I don't get it. Like, and then Austin is really turned into something bad. Anyway, so Tennessee looks cool. But then my wife was saying, she's like, you know, Alabama is still pretty affordable. And it's like, it's largely God-fearing people down there. They're conservative, and there's a lot of faith, and that's important to us. I mean, I know probably I don't know how many listeners are Christian or not, or but they put up with me anyways talking about God. I get comments like, I'm not religious, but I don't mind the talking about God. It's good or whatever. But you know, we think about that relocating. Have you always been from Alabama?
I have, except for my time in the Marine Corps, which I was stationed in 29 Palms.
Yeah.
And then and my deployments, I've always lived here. I don't want to live anywhere else. You know.
Would they be accepting of an orange-haired Yankee man?
They would. You know, we get, you know, we do a lateral program, you know, and we get a lot of people from other states, up north, stuff like that, because, you know, as long as you're post certified in your state, you know, and your credentials are active, you know, you come in and you get hired, you interview, hire, and things like that, and you'll pass all the state required stuff. I think the last group we sent to a state academy for 3 weeks. All we got to do is, you know, our thing is we don't have to teach you how to be the police. You know how to do that.
Right. Catch up on your laws.
Yeah. You just need to learn how to, Alabama laws, things like that here. And then you'll come back and do an FTO program with us, and you'll learn, you know, municipal things that you need to learn.
If I come down there and get in the car, if you're in my FTO, I'm going to have the microphone in your face the whole time.
Probably.
Like, Steve, you failed. You can't.
Well, I'm not an FTO anymore, so once you go to special operations, you're not able to do the field training anymore.
Really? Okay.
We're not tied to the radio, so we'll answer hot calls mostly if we're close, but we just have the ability to be everywhere all the time because we spread out like fingers across the jurisdiction with our squad. So
that's awesome.
But
all right, Jeremy, this question is big for the listeners. They love it. We have a lot of people, prospect police officers, or even people in academy. They're looking for a veteran officer like yourself to give them some advice. So advice to the new police officer, prospective police officer, or somebody in academy right now. What would you tell them?
Make sure your heart's in it. You know, make sure this is what you want to do, and make sure that at your base, you still want to do the best you can for your community. And like we talked about earlier, this job is not to want to hurt people or punish people for any reason. That's not our job. Our job is to enforce the laws and provide public safety. And that's at the core, that's all police, is public safety, the community. The community has hired you to do something. So, make sure your heart's in it. When you're in it, there's some things you gotta remember. You can't halfway do anything. Like I tell my trainees, if you have to go hands on, you got to go hands on 100%.
Right.
There's no in between.
Don't be impish.
Yeah, not at all. So and be prepared to be sleepy, be tired, but if you want it bad enough, you'll go through it. And always remember, like we talked about earlier, the criminal portion of your community doesn't represent the population. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of, good people that you don't even respond to in your area.
Yeah.
You have nothing to do with, and they're just waving at you at the red light or as you pass by their house or they're mowing and things like that.
They're just glad you're there.
This is not a job you get just because you need a job or you want a retirement or you want some insurance. This is not it for it. And those guys don't last long. And you're going to see things and you're going to have to be part of things that the average person out here, you're going to go see something and do something and you're not going, and then you're right on to the next call. You have to be able to put that behind you and then go over here and work this shoplifting case, and you may have just left a homicide,
right.
or a domestic, so you have to be able to do things, or you may leave something like that and have to go throw on a traffic vest because the traffic light's out,
right.
or something like that, or work a wreck, so you got to go up and down. Realize that you're going to have to control it. You got a baseline, and in this job, the stress and stuff, you stay pegged out all the time so much with your stress maxed out that it's the new norm. You don't even realize sometimes that you're stressed out. So have a way to control that. And for me, that's, my wife is my greatest support. She supports me.
That's huge.
1,000,000% in everything that I do.
Yep.
And, if it weren't for her support, I don't know that I would probably be burnt out. Not that I would come home and I'm unloading all my things on her. A lot of times, most days it's not like that. But I know that I have someone there who cares about me and who will be willing to sit there and listen to those things, even if she doesn't understand it, to help me out. So I have that there if I need it. And, that's my biggest support. So I would say a significant other, a family, have friends outside of this job. I mean, we have a couple of friends outside this job that we will do things with, and that is, and once you become a police officer, this will always be attached to you, so you'll go places and you don't get introduced as, your name. You're going to get introduced. This is so-and-so. He's a police officer.
Right.
Or this is so-and-so. Her husband's a police officer. Or this is so-and-so. His wife's a police officer.
So
this is
true.
attached to you. And the longer you do this job, you will see something somebody deems unjustified happen across the country, and you will feel a weight. There will be a weight on your shoulders. We all carry that burden. Anytime anybody does anything wrong or anything that looks wrong,
right,
that wears the uniform, we all, so you have to be prepared to be able to handle that weight. And if you can do all of that and then, maintain a good relationship at home and rely on your family to help you through those things and your support system, you'll be great. This is a great job. It's a fulfilling job. And anybody that is even thought about it, do a ride along. We offer ride alongs here. You can come sign up, do a ride along, do something, get out there and see, make sure that's what you want to do. And then if you want to, we run, we're just about hiring all the time. So you come in and, fill out your application and get into it. See if that's what you want to do, but, I definitely, if it's someone who has a service mentality and a service heart, that this is the job for that,
Very good, man. Great advice, Jeremy. Thank you. Thank you so much. This isn't going to go out in video form, but thank you for coming on, spending your time. I say that because Jeremy's on the camera with me. He's in full pack. He just got off shift, and to make the time for the interview, he's doing it right in his patrol car. So thank you for everything you do, brother. I really appreciate you coming on here. I appreciate you being a fan and you checking the podcast out. Just awesome. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate it, Steve.
All right, brother. So what I'll do is I'm going to do the outro. put you back in the green room for a second. Can you hang on for one more minute? I'll come back.
Yes, sir.
All right, great. Guys, that was Jeremy, episode number 95 from a major city in northern Alabama. Damn, great stories, great advice, great conversation. Thank you so much, Jeremy, for coming on. Really, really cool. Guys, always looking for guests. People see the show now. A lot of eyes get on it, and people get intimidated. But no, you shouldn't. I know there's some people that have come on the show that have been on TV and all that stuff, which is great. Those are fun. But the meat and potatoes of the show are patrol officers, let's say. The men and women of law enforcement that are doing it. People love hearing from them. People love to hear a cop talk and tell their stories. So if you're retired, great, because you can let it rip. If you're active, great also. We can use a different name. We don't have to name your agency. Come on and tell your stories. If you listen to enough of the podcast and you think, I got some stuff I want to share, I got some stuff I think people would appreciate, you're riding around your cruiser listening and thinking, I could do that, reach out to me, thingspolicec.com, scroll down to be a guest. Just submit a real quick little message. It will go right to my email. I'll get back to you. I'll schedule you to come on the show. I'll send you the questions. You can see if you think you can answer each one of them. We try to do about an hour. And I would love to have you on here. Thank you to the sponsors. Thank you to everybody who is rating and reviewing on iTunes. 5 stars. I think we have over 608, I think last time I checked. So I'd love to get to 1,000. I just want to see 1K. That would be so awesome. Helps the show get eyes on it, helps more people find the show, and hence enables me to get more guests to come on. So, guys, thank you. I'm racking my brain. I want to make sure I don't. Am I forgetting anything? Was I supposed to say something? I want to plug policebackground.net. My good friend Ken Roybal is the owner of that. He does consultations for people looking to become police officers. He can help streamline your application process, help you put your best foot forward. So reach out to him. And that's it, guys. That's the show. Cops of the News is back. We'll be doing. You've probably seen one by now because this was going to come out a little bit later. But Cops of the News is back. Topical show I do with Ken Roybal. Check that out. We do it live on Facebook. Might be moving it to YouTube, but it's your chance to interact with us, write messages back and forth, and it's a blast. So that's all I got for you this week, guys, and thank you for joining us.